Humans are the only animals on Earth that will willingly pay money to sit in a dark room and cry over a fictional character, or lie awake at 3 in the morning paralyzed by the memory of a minor social misstep committed in 2012. We spent 6 million years escaping the food chain, building concrete fortresses, and inventing refrigeration, only to end up suffering from chronic existential dread because someone sent an email that ended with a period instead of an exclamation mark. From an evolutionary perspective, this is a colossal design failure. Natural selection is a brutal, hyper-efficient process designed to weed out any trait that wastes precious metabolic energy. Yet, humans carry around a massive suite of incredibly complex, agonizing emotions such as nostalgic melancholy, deep shame, and existential guilt. These emotions do not help us outrun a predator. They do not help us find berries. In fact, intense grief or depression can render an individual completely non-functional, making them an easy target in the wild. If evolution is so ruthless, why did it not prune these psychological liabilities from our gene pool? Why did it instead double down, turning us into the most emotionally fragile creatures on the planet? There is a highly specific, cold-blooded mathematical equation behind why evolution preserved our capacity for deep, paralyzing despair. We will uncover this mathematical secret later, but to understand it, we must first look at the bizarre trade-off our ancestors made when they decided that physical strength was overrated. Millions of years ago, hominids chose to trade raw muscle mass for neural tissue. It was a high-risk gamble. We became physically weak, slow, and defenseless. A single chimpanzee can easily rip a human adult apart. To survive, our ancestors had to rely entirely on each other, turning socialization from a casual lifestyle choice into a strict matter of life and death. Once survival became a team sport, the rules of evolution changed entirely. Simple survival emotions such as fear and rage, which we share with lizards and rodents, were no longer sufficient. If a lizard gets angry, it bites. If it gets scared, it runs. But if an early human in a tight-knit tribe gets angry and bites the chief, they get banished into the wilderness to be eaten by hyenas. Social survival demanded a brand new set of emotional brakes and steering wheels. This is where self-conscious emotions such as shame, pride, and embarrassment entered the evolutionary stage. Anthropological data suggests that early human tribes maxed out at around 150 individuals, a threshold known as Dunbar's number. In a group of this size, reputation is the ultimate currency. If you steal your neighbor's mammoth meat, you might get a short-term caloric boost, but if the tribe finds out, your social credit score drops to 0. Shame and embarrassment evolved as internal warning systems designed to prevent you from committing social suicide. When you feel embarrassment, your face flushes with blood, signaling to the group that you recognize your mistake and submit to their rules. It is a biological apology mechanism. It is involuntary, making it impossible to fake. The physical pain of social rejection is processed in the exact same brain region as actual physical pain, the anterior cingulate cortex. This is not a poetic coincidence. It is a biological hack. Evolution did not have time to write a new software program for social pain, so it simply hijacked the existing hardware for physical pain. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between a broken leg and being excluded from the group chat. If you do not conform, you die. This brutal reality forced our brains to grow larger, consuming an astronomical 20% of our daily caloric intake just to calculate social dynamics. The hardware driving this emotional circus is a complex neurobiological highway. The human brain is essentially a 3-story house built by different evolutionary eras. The basement is the reptilian brain, managing basic survival functions such as heart rate and breathing. The middle floor is the limbic system, the ancient mammalian emotional center, which processes raw feelings such as fear and pleasure. But the top floor, the neocortex, is where human complexity lives. This massive, energy-hungry dome allows us to think about our feelings, project into the future, and dissect the past. Complex emotions are born when the neocortex hijacks the limbic system. For instance, basic fear is processed in the amygdala, but when the neocortex adds time and imagination to that fear, it transforms into chronic anxiety. We do not just fear the predator in the bushes, we fear the loss of our job 3 years from now. This system is regulated by a delicate cocktail of neurotransmitters. Dopamine drives our desire to seek status. Oxytocin binds us to our kin, and cortisol floods our system when we sense social isolation. Evolutionary biologists refer to the display of these complex states as costly signaling. In the animal kingdom, a peacock grows a heavy, colorful tail to show predators it is healthy enough to survive despite a massive physical handicap. Humans do the exact same thing with emotions. Experiencing deep grief over a lost loved one is highly demanding. It drains energy, reduces focus, and lowers survival odds. But displaying this grief signals to the remaining tribe members that you possess a high capacity for loyalty and cooperation. It proves you are a safe partner who will not abandon the group when things get difficult. It is a biological guarantee of your trustworthiness. Your visible sorrow is a high-cost social contract, proving to everyone around you that your emotional commitments are authentic and binding. This brings us back to the core mystery. Why did natural selection preserve paralyzing emotions, such as existential guilt or vengeful rage when they seem to actively harm the individual? The answer lies in game theory, specifically a mathematical scenario known as the prisoner's dilemma. In a world populated entirely by rational, cold-blooded actors, society collapses. If everyone acts solely in their own self-interest, no one cooperates. If you and I agree to hunt a mammoth together, the rational choice for me is to let you do all the dangerous work and then steal the meat. If you know I am rational, you will anticipate this and betray me first. Double betrayal leads to starvation. To solve this mathematical deadlock, nature had to introduce an irrational element. It had to make us feel. This is the commitment problem, solved by emotions acting as biological guarantors. If I possess the capacity for irrational burning vengeance, you will not steal my meat because you know I will pursue you to the ends of the earth, even if it ruins my own life. My capacity for anger protects me from exploitation. Similarly, if I possess the capacity for gut-wrenching, agonizing guilt, I will not cheat you because my own brain will punish me far worse than any tribe could. Guilt is an internal tax on bad behavior, ensuring cooperation even when no one is watching. The math is simple. Groups of emotional, irrational cooperators consistently outperform groups of rational, selfish individuals. Natural selection did not select for your happiness. It selected for your utility to the collective. The agonizing pain of your existential dread, your guilt, and your heartbreak is merely the cost of admission to the most successful cooperative network in the history of the planet. These complex torments are the evolutionary glue that bound nomadic ape families together, transforming us from scattered scavengers into a dominant global species. The tragic irony of this evolutionary success story is that we no longer live in the Pleistocene epoch. We have successfully conquered the wild, eliminated our apex predators, and built a global digital infrastructure. Yet, we are still running on the exact same ancient emotional operating system. This hardware mismatch is the root of our modern psychological crisis. Our brains are hardwired for small clans of hunter-gatherers, but we now exist in a hyper-connected global village of 8 billion people. The system designed to monitor our reputation within a tribe of 150 people is now exposed to millions of strangers on social media. When someone leaves a negative comment on your profile, your ancient anterior cingulate cortex reacts identically to being cast out into a frozen wasteland to freeze to death. Your body floods with cortisol, your heart rate spikes, and you enter a state of high alert over a digital notification. We are trapped in a feedback loop of our own making. We use our highly developed neocortex to create hyper-complex societies, which in turn generate unprecedented levels of stress, triggering ancient limbic responses that we cannot control. We search for happiness believing it to be an evolutionary goal, ignoring the reality that nature has absolutely no interest in our mental well-being. From an evolutionary perspective, a happy animal is a lazy animal. A satisfied hominid sits under a tree and gets eaten. An anxious, dissatisfied, guilt-ridden hominid stays awake, plans for winter, and survives. The agonizing complexity of human emotion was never designed to make your life pleasant. It was designed to keep you anxious enough to survive, compliant enough to cooperate, and miserable enough to keep working. You are not broken. You are simply functioning exactly as evolution intended. The ultimate joke is that the very tools we built to escape nature's brutality have only succeeded in turning our own minds into the ultimate predator.